Social Compact assembles demographics and consumer behavior and turns this data into business opportunities. John and his team find money in people who are lost, overlooked, or ignored. He is a market maker. He advises mayors across the country on new tools for revitalization of neighborhoods. He is a visionary who thinks like a banker. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome John Talmage.
And thank y'all for indulging me and lending me some of your time to discuss with you some of the questions that we at Social Compact, our board, our technology partners such as SAS and ESRI, the Consumer Bankers Association, the U.S. Conference of Mayors, the International Council of Shopping Centers and others, and most importantly, cities around the country that we wrestle with every day, questions that we have to find answers to. Questions like, what is the role of information in the development and its corollary? What is the public policy construction that should frame urban economic development, especially in low and moderate income communities? Private investment plays a more important role now than ever before in revitalizing underserved communities. And we describe them as undervalued now rather than underserved because there's a market there. There are functioning markets whose value has not been yet realized by private investment. This is the heart of a shift that has occurred in community development over the past decade. We as a field have moved from a deficit understanding of cities and neighborhoods to an asset approach to markets. This was a necessary transaction because we can't convince those of you in the room who are private investment decision makers that you should put your money in a community because of the poverty rate or the recidivists or the number of recidivists that live there. We do believe and have a decade of experience to demonstrate that if you highlight the market potential, the purchasing power of a community, that you can organize new investment. But to do that, we have to quantify the opportunity. This is not a sentimental notion of, boy, it'd be great to have a store here. We have to quantify where the opportunity is to make a return on that investment. Our challenge at Social Compact, our challenge working with Steve in the city, our challenge is to sift through the data, to develop information that can lead to knowledge about the market potential of the communities that we are all so interested in. Let me give you an example of where information makes a difference. We, as developers, as community developers, as investors, inevitably you have to choose between communities. Inevitably, you have to choose between two sites. And here I've thrown up two profiles of a community, or two communities. The one on the left, Community A, has a smaller population, 18,000 people, 19,000 people. Community B has 24% higher average household income. Community B, if you look at the first-time home buyers, their average household income, it's $120,000. Community A is victimized by the way that the media portrays incidents of crime in its neighborhood. Community B has realized that if they look through and they sort through their own crime statistics, they can portray a better picture. The problem is we have to make decisions between Community A and Community B. And when we have to be put in that position, we always choose Community B. So our problem is, the real problem is, these are the same communities. These are 8 neighborhoods in Washington, D.C. that if you look at the census data, if you look at census-derived data, you will only see the profile through the lens of Community A. But if you data mine, if you go through the extra yard, if you begin to look at the school permit records, the building permit records, the tax assessor records, the utility hookups, credit bureau records, you can find the missed population, you can find the missed income of that community. You can find indicators of stability that say you should invest here. Why does this happen? The census may be the best database we have from sea to shining sea. But it has tremendous challenges when you're trying to count underserved urban America. The District of Columbia challenged the census. They had 31,000 people added back. And the reason this is also important, the U.S. Conference of Mayors estimates that for every person missed by the census, cities lose $2,200 a year in federal and state funding. Brookings Institute estimates that 80% of all commercial, residential, and retail development has a demographic element in the decision-making matrix. Information has to be important. Information is a barrier when you miss the count so badly, and that information barrier becomes a capital barrier. We analyze data to develop information to inform communities, retailers, cities, banks of the actual conditions of a city or a neighborhood. This is a rigorous effort to build an alternative to existing perceptions of low and moderate income urban communities. So what have we found to date? We've worked in 11 cities and 200 neighborhoods. We have found 850,000 more people documented by the census in those 11 cities. They represent $20 billion of unrecognized economic income. We need to help communities to validate what is often their own intuitive understanding of their own neighborhoods. Our intention is to help retailers and developers to understand markets that they have not been in for a long time. Our intention is to help banks understand why is there an unbanked community and an underbanked community, and how do we help bridge that gap. Our intention is to help cities find better ways to produce public information, to price public incentives. We've got to go forward. We've got to go forward until we find new ways to use information to make better decisions. In 2001, we conducted the first Washington, D.C. drill down and found in 2 neighborhoods alone, Anacostia and Columbia Heights, there was an additional 15,000 people. 15,000 people. The community knew it. Bob Moore from the Columbia Heights Community Development Corporation knew it. He intuitively knew it. And working with the Washington, D.C. Economic Partnership, the city itself, the Columbia Heights CDC, among others, we were able to document this population and find other trends so this team could go out and market Columbia Heights to the ICSC Las Vegas conference, to other retail conferences, meet with corporate leaders, bring them to the city to show that Columbia Heights was a place that had a stronger community, a stronger population than people had previously thought. When we came back this year, we updated the drill down. And our new study doesn't so much show that there was other missed population, but because the previous drill down in the city's own census challenge has documented that. But what it did show that there's new trends emerging where some of these neighborhoods are most shifting. We do show that the average household income, I think the average household income of Washington, D.C. is fascinating. That is twice as high as what people had previously thought in 2000. And in some neighborhoods, it's 3 times as high. But there's also the opportunity, like the public policy imperatives I mentioned before, Anacostia, 35% of the households there don't have credit records. 21 neighborhoods in Washington, D.C. don't have grocery stores. There's opportunities here. Here's some of the neighborhoods that have hosted some of the most change. Chinatown, Mount Vernon has increased its population 31% since the development started around 2000. Anacostia, Fairlawn, 22%. Kenilworth, 56%. Shaw, Logan Circle, 19%. But look at the income changes as well. Again, Chinatown, Mount Vernon, 56%. Southwest Waterfront, 39%. Shaw, Logan, 36%. That aggregated population times aggregated income shows there's hundreds of millions of dollars that are available, again, in these communities that just won't come across in traditional market analytics. And what motivates us every day is that we as a field know precious little. That there has been a complete lack of investigation into how we as a nation understand urban markets, how we value these markets, and how we invest in these markets. Information-led development is a movement to build a larger and more diverse community that uses density as its rationale and urbanity as its palette. And again, we invite you to work with us. To work with Steve and his team here at the Washington, D.C. Economic Partnership. To work with anyone who believes that we should use accurate information to guide our public policy and our private investments. And if we do that together, we will be catalytic agents in all of our communities, but for all of our residents. Thank you.